Welcome to Leaf Talk with Andy Frost on the AM 640 Leafs Radio Network.
Well, it's great to be with you again for another season of Leaf Talk, which would be, I believe, our 15th year minus the lockout, as we are back to take your phone calls after every Maple Leaf game, preseason, regular season, and conceivably beyond. Go down to Buffalo. I'm not sure if he's an imposter, but he is Mike in Buffalo, but not the Mike in Buffalo that we've been hearing from here for years. Is that correct? Mike? Hello, Mike?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess it is another Mike. Some very strange-sounding imposter. What was that? Aliens are invading. Leaf Talk. People from other planets. With that in mind, let's go to the real Mike in Buffalo. Mike, what was that? Is that a friend of yours or what?
It must have been a Sabre fan. Good evening, Mr. Frost.
Back to the phones we go. Mike in Buffalo, 7-0 Rangers final score. Good evening, Mike.
Good evening, Mr. Frost. I look forward to the video tribute to Jason Blake tomorrow night.
There was no video tribute to Matt Stajan or Nicholas Hagman on Saturday. There's going to be no video tribute to Jason Blake tomorrow.
I know. I'm just being sarcastic.
I just want to mention tomorrow, bridal show. Chick flick, but ending it off with a little football action tomorrow. You're not. You're going to the bridal show tomorrow. I am indeed, with my lovely fiancée. That's true. And she's a massive Leafs fan, by the way.
Hey, there's no Leaf game. You might as well go to the bridal show.
This is true.
A chick flick. What, is there a new Hugh Grant movie out or what?
Yeah, what's it called, sweetie? Blue Valentine or something to that effect.
Oh, my goodness.
Misfortune. Nevertheless.
You'll be back to normal next Saturday, Mike.
Let's hope.
You're excused. Thanks yourself. Appreciate the phone call. Thank you. JR, what are you going to be doing tomorrow on a Saturday off with no Maple Leafs?
Okay, this is funny. Well, I'm going to be taking a mental health Leaf day, Andy. I'm going to be buying some polyfilla and filling some of the holes in my drywall in my basement.
Sounds exciting.
Because honestly, it's been an up and down season, but at the end of the day, all I wish for this team is to get out of the lottery.
Showing a bit more passion for the game.
Hey, you think he's approaching 1,000 games? You think he's going to change the style that he plays now?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I would expect a bit different from him, but...
elaborate on that. What do you mean different? You want him to start playing physically? What do you want him to do?
Well, you're never going to see Cavalier play physically.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
So what are you expecting out of the guy?
I want to see him shoot more. I want to see him play the
Right, I was waiting for that.
Yeah, well, we've been saying that forever. I mean, you know that.
You're not going to see it. He's not going to change the way he plays. Almost 1,000 games into his career.
If he's not going to do it, then he's got to be the next, he's got to go. I mean, we can't do that.
One last comment, just a little bit disappointed and frustrated to see Nazem Kadri, a first-round draft pick, on the fourth line. I mean, it's something that, as a Leaf fan, any other city with an NHL team would give this guy an opportunity to play with top-line players, but only in Toronto.
John. Did Kadri not have the opportunity over the last 2 or 3 weeks to play with top-line players? Was it working? Was it working?
No one else is working either, right? It's clicking.
Well, hey, man, it's not. It wasn't working. So they give him some room out there, put him with Orr and Rosehill, give Kadri some room to work some of the offensive magic he has. So, so what?
Yeah, but, why is it with him and not any other player? Why is it that you want to keep some of these other...
do you think it diminished or hurt the confidence of Kadri with him playing with Rosehill and Orr? No.
No, but you can't keep on doing it with the top, a prospect like that, right?
Well, they had to change it up to see if something could work because, hey, man, it wasn't working. It wasn't working with Kadri playing the wing.
Yeah, but
this team had lost 13 of 16 games.
Well, it hasn't worked with anybody else as well.
So they moved. Yeah, I did. Well, Kadri wasn't the only change they made. Well, they put Kessel at center. They changed a bunch of other combinations around as well.
Yeah, they put him at center with other players he can work with. You don't put Kadri with Colton Orr.
John, they had to change it up. It wasn't working. What difference does it make? Hey, it's your opinion. Thanks very much. I appreciate that. Thank you. We don't really have time. It's an abbreviated show.
If they have high-definition camera, they make that call to overturn that, and it looked like it should have been. But I will tell you, before a first penalty, Toronto even got a first penalty in this game, there was at least 4 calls that should have been called against Carolina that were blatant, and a couple that were kind of borderline that should have been called, and were not. It was almost like the referee had money on the game. It was ridiculous.
I'm sorry. Please.
Ridiculous.
Please. Even suggesting that the referees had money on the game. Ron, you know better than that.
Well, either that or he's a moron. It's one of the two. You got 2 choices there. So, I mean, nobody could be that dumb. I mean, you watch the game, I watch the game. You know what a penalty is, I know what a penalty is.
I understand that the Leaf fans are passionate, but what they got to do is stop coming to the games, and then the owners will turn around and go, oh, we're in trouble. We better start fixing this and fix it fast, because it's never going to get fixed from that aspect of it. And just another thing is, anyway, so you go ahead. What is that?
No, that's good, Pat. Honestly, it's the first caller we've had this year saying that. They got to stop going to the games. Good luck. You think people are going to stop going to the Leaf games and boycotting this team? Hey, man, it is not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Even I don't even know how many season ticket holders there are at Air Canada Centre. Let's say that there's 13,000 or 14,000 or 15,000 season ticket holders. And if they all got together and said, oh, we're just not going to go to the game, you think they're going to suck that up, the money that costs for those season tickets, or for people to just go and buy tickets? It's not going to happen. And I'm not even convinced it would make that much difference anyway. These guys want to win. They're going to do whatever they can to get this team back on track. You think Brian Burke doesn't want to win, or Dave Nonis, or Dave Poulin, or Ron Wilson, or the players on this team? They all want to win. Doing, Joel? Joel.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Good evening, Mr. Frost.
Good evening, Joel. Go ahead.
You're doing a fantastic job, Mr. Frost, and this Leaf is doing very good. I mean, today they played a very good game, and they almost win the game. And you hearing me, Mr. Frost?
Go ahead, Joel.
Yeah. Mr. Frost.
Joel? My goodness. What a disaster.
And also, could it be that he's American also?
That he's American?
Yeah, that's another one of my theories. That he's American, and Will's American, and Burke is American. It's like a deadly trio of Americans.
So it's an American conspiracy.
Yeah, that's what I think.
They acquired Kessel because he's American. They want to turn the Toronto Maple Leafs into an American hockey club. What are you getting at, man?
I'm probably not the only one who thinks this, but I think there's a lot of people who think that the problems is like it's like a core of American in our city. Like what happened to the good old Canadian boys of Gilmore and Clark?
Okay, Dean, honestly, Gilmore, Clark, thank you. We talked about this minutes ago. What happened to the good old Canadian boys? Where do you think Clark MacArthur's from? Where's Colby Armstrong from? Where's Dion Phaneuf from? There are some good old Canadian boys on this hockey team. What about Keith Awley? What about James Reimer? Tyler Bozak's from Regina. Daryl Boyce is Canadian. Like, honestly. Good old Canadian boys like Clark and Gilmore. Getting sick of hearing that. Dean, thanks for the call. Let's go to a caller, and I think this might be a first. In the 15 years I've been here doing this show, I don't think we've ever had a caller from Korea. Greg in Korea. Are you hearing us okay, Greg?
Yeah, I'm hearing you just fine.
And so what time of day is it in Korea?
It's almost 12:30. It's 14 hours ahead of you guys.
Oh, it's almost 12:30 Monday afternoon.
Yes.
I got you. So what, are you a transplanted Canadian? Are you a Leaf fan? What are you doing in Korea, if you don't mind me asking?
Lifelong Leaf fan. I came here in '95 to teach English.
And you're still there?
and I'm still there, except for a few years when I left, but I've been here for the majority of the years.
Peter Alliston. Good evening, Pete.
Well, hey, Andy, how you doing?
Doing really well, thank you, sir. Let's go to a caller in Stony Creek. Is it Indy?
You got it. It's Indy.
Naz, you were at the game. Quickly, if you could.
Going away there. But most glaring observation for me there, Bill, is that Phil Kessel played his heart out. I mean, top class. He looked like a young Tim Chevelday out there, and I was really having the deja vu.
Naz, sorry we're short on time. A young Tim Chevelday. Tim Chevelday. Thanks very much, Naz. Please. Not again. Plus your accent was a little weak. Nice try. If you were to get some of the Leafs management a present or a gift, what would you be picking up for Brian Burke, or what would you get for Ron Wilson?
Oh, for Brian Burke, easy. I'd get him 2 first-round draft picks. We need to start building up with the youth, because look at what it does for teams like Pittsburgh and Washington and Chicago. And for Ron Wilson, anger management classes.
You think Wilson gets a little angry, do you?
I just worry that one day he's going to be yelling at an official and he's going to have an aneurysm. When you see that vein throbbing in HD, it's really frightening.
The guy who's been a dominant forward for, 10 years or something like that, won a couple gold medals, and all of a sudden he's having one off year and everyone wants to get rid of him. I don't think if your wife makes a bad dinner one day, you can't send her down to the minors, right? You got to stick with him.
What is...
You talking to a caller earlier about Kessel's stick, and I actually worked an event for the Leafs back before their road trip out west, and I asked him about his stick, and he actually does use an intermediate hockey stick, which is meant for kids around 16 to 17.
Yeah, like I said, like a teenager stick. It's not like a kid stick. It's a youth stick, an intermediate stick. It's for teenagers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you for confirming that, Dutch.
No problem.
And maybe we point out as well, Old Dutch are the official potato chip of Air Canada Centre. For a Western guy like me, that was big news when there were some Old Dutch chips around here. Dutch and Richmond Hill, thanks very much for your phone call. Good news and good call of the hit by Mike Brown on Ed Jovanovski's second period. No penalty to Brown. We understand that a lot of people in Phoenix up in arms about the fact that Brown wasn't penalized or booted from the game, or is not, at this point anyway, facing any supplemental discipline from the National Hockey League. What about supplemental discipline to Eric Belanger in the stick swinging? Or Lodi Kopikoski bringing up his skate to defend himself? Just unbelievable. Honestly, we got to get away from that stuff. We got to get away from the Bob Pulford, Tim Horton, Dave Keon. Sure, great players, but almost 50 years ago. Goodness.
So does Komisarek. The only guys I'm keeping is Gustafsson and
Charlie, where are those guys going to go? Well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Buy them out? You're going to trade them?
Just go away. That's it. I don't know. I just want to see better players, that are more committed to, like, remember Dave Andrechuk used to stand in front of the net, and I heard somebody mention the other day about Luke Shen standing in front of the net.
Yeah, we had the last night.
Why not try that? You know what I mean? But there's nobody willing to pay the price. If these guys went to war for Canada, I'm afraid we'd all be communists right now. You know what I mean?
Okay, Charlie, that's sufficient. Thank you. I think Charlie's getting increasingly more steamed and heated as the conversation continued. Komisarek, Beauchemin, Grabowski, just wants him to go away.
Agree with you. What can they do? I mean, Brian Burke's got him in such a box. He got completely fleeced on Phil Kessel. I've heard from friends in Boston that Phil Kessel apparently in the dressing room wasn't very well liked in the dressing room. I mean, I can't confirm that. I don't know if you've ever heard that, but I heard that Boston basically was, that's why he was out there to move him. And I mean, he got fleeced, giving up two first rounders and a second rounder. I mean, one first-rounder was all... I mean, one first-rounder was well overpriced for Phil Kessel. Forget 2 first-rounders and a second-rounder. So when you say if they lose Edmonton, what's he going to do? I don't know. Bring up the whole Marley team, because right now I'm not sure this team could beat the Marlies.
We thank you for taking the time to be a first-time caller, Mark in Burlington. Boy, he's just about to snap, isn't he? Hey, Mark is echoing the feelings of a lot of people that love this Maple Leaf hockey team. He may explain it a little differently. But Mark sounds like he's just at the end of this rope. Thinks the Marlies might beat the Maple Leafs. But in your mind, Andrew, it's been a failure so far, right?
Well, I would think so. Now, I'm just going to throw something out which is totally ludicrous and crazy.
Please.
But you know what? I've been a Leaf fan for a long time, and Darcy Tucker is sitting at home, and he is a happy guy making $1 million a year to sit at home. Let's give him an extra $500,000 a year, and let's bring him on, and let's at least have some cheerfulness of a guy who can chip into the corner, can play some gritty hockey, and we could at least have Leafs Nation happy.
Yeah, sure. Why don't you bring back Gary Roberts while you're at it? Guys that haven't played in like 2 or 3 years, just to keep everybody happy.
You're right. Is Beliveau still available?
Andrew, have yourself a good night.
Andy, thank you. I always enjoy listening to your show. I don't always agree with you, but I love listening to you.
Excellent. You're a pleasure. Thanks very much, Andrew. He's starting to lose it, I think. Starting to maybe snap a little bit. Hey, a loss like this will do that to people. 7-0. Start thinking all sorts of strange and weird and unusual thoughts and think up things that just maybe aren't that realistic. Like bringing Darcy Tucker back. Andrew, get home safely. Go to bed. Take something out of a little bottle that your doctor gave you, and you'll feel better tomorrow.
I can also say Kessel didn't resemble Tim Shovelday tonight.
Marty, for those that are saying, what is this Marty guy nuts or what? Just to bring people, I think it was our final caller a couple of nights ago. Right. In Winter, Florida, a guy that put on a fairly bad accent. I was saying that Phil Kessel resembled Tim Shovelday. Miles from nowhere. No, it's Miles from Oakville. With all due respect to Cat Stevens, Miles, Oakville. Go ahead on Leaf Talk, Miles. 3-0 Toronto. Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
Mike in Buffalo, can I assume that you will be at HSBC Arena Saturday night for your favorite hockey team, the Maple Leafs, taking on your hometown team, the Buffalo Sabres?
I will be. I will be calling in, and I pray to the Maple Leaf gods, let them win.
Will you be wearing a Maple Leaf jersey, a Maple Leaf jacket, Maple Leaf sweater, Maple Leaf toque, anything to HSBC Arena on Saturday for support of your hockey team, or is the ridicule just a little bit too severe?
I'll be wearing something Maple Leaf, but hopefully not visible to the cretins at the HSBC Arena.
Cretins. Mike in Buffalo. Thank you. Well, we'll look forward to an update from you after the game between the Sabres and the Maple Leafs on Saturday. You can let us know if you're still breathing or not.
Thank you, Mr. Frost.
Excellent. Mike in Buffalo, longtime caller. Kadri is getting better with each game. He's getting more comfortable with each game, and he's getting more confidence with each game.
Yeah,
and he's got 4 assists already, and I think he's just going to keep on going and keep on improving.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, but one of the major flaws I've noticed in his game, it seems like he's kind of moving like a dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. Hello?
Like a do-do-do-do-do-do?
Oh,
what's
that you?
That's not me, Jim. Well, Jim, we lost you. Or you lost us, not sure. Maybe the expectations that some people are just hanging on by a thread to hope that, anybody, Nazem Kadri, whoever it might be, can lead this Maple Leaf team to the promised land. And here's Kadri, his first game in the NHL, and people referring to his performance as being despicable last year, like just enough to make you sick. Let's go to Vaughn. Dick, what's up, Dick?
Andy, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਹਾਲ ਤੇਰਾ?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. How are you, Andy?
Good, Dick. Thanks.
Yeah.
Who are you talking to there?
Just my mom.
Is her name Jane?
Sorry?
Her name's not Jane, I guess. Is it, Dick?
No, I was just talking in my foreign language.
I see.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Not at all. I was a little confused.
Yeah.
I'm encouraged in the fact that he has been in the minors, in the ECHL, in the AHL. He's worked his way up. There's a base of experience at the pro level, and he's come up. And it isn't a flash in the pan where he's a 20-year-old kid being thrown to the wolves like Alan Bester or Kenny Reggett back in the day. So I'm encouraged in that instance. But I mean, there are examples in history like Jim Carrey, the net detective.
Leafs win 3-2 in OT. Cooper. Hey, we just had an Anderson a few moments ago. Now we've got a Cooper. What is this, CNN? Cooper, you were at this game tonight. Go ahead.
Yeah, I took my little guy to his first game, and, they didn't disappoint. Little guy had a few too many apple juices, so he's crashed in the back now, but...
Oh, God, as long as he's not driving.
No, I asked him. He was supposed to be the DD tonight, but I let him off the hook. He was having a good time.
Good.
And I also want to congratulate Nikolai Kuhlman and Nazem Kadri for another point. And Nazem Kadri he's going to be a star player soon enough, and I know he will. In a couple of years, give it time, but he will be a star player.
Okay, Kyle, you get better. Okay, thanks a lot for the phone call. Get some rest, and we'll hear from you again soon.
Hey, Andy, how's it going, man? Happy
Excellent.
To hear.
Thank you.
I didn't get to see the game tonight. I just watched it on the radio, but I think most of the other callers touched on it. I think go back with Reimer.
Oh, yeah, you watched it on the radio. Fantastic.
Yeah, I listened to it. So,
I understand. Just thought I'd point that out.
And I think just for Grabowski's sake, if he's there, he'll rack up some points with those two guys. And then you got your third line with even like a Tim Brent with Armstrong and MacArthur, because those two guys played together last year in Atlanta. And your fourth line was, say, a Hansen and Brown and Orr. So, you know what? I think when you look at the team like that, it's not bad.
Okay, just stop there for a second. My head's spinning a bit. Jim in Edmonton. Go ahead, Jim.
Hi, Mr. Frost. How are you?
Good, sir. Quickly, if you could. Getting short on time here.
The power play is missing Thomas Caberlet.
Get over it.
Okay, yeah.
And I'd like to know, do you have a cure for the illness? The blue and white sickness?
The blue and white sickness?
It's a disease. It's an addiction. I can't stop it.
Yeah, well, it's been going on. It's been going on for many years, though, hasn't it, Lauren? And you're in Fredericton, New Brunswick.
That's right.
It's infected the people out there, including yourself as well.
Can't stop it.
When it comes to a Leaf fan, the Leaf fan generally stays behind the Leafs through the bad and the good. It's the ones that jump boats and go to a team like Pittsburgh, for example, because they're doing well and they are going to the Stanley Cup. It's fans like that that honestly need to have a brain cleaning because they're not a true fan. They're the jump boat fan.
Yeah, they need a frontal lobotomy or a bottle in front of them.
I just think that there's just something, I don't know, call it Harold Ballard's curse, I don't know, but there's just something with this team that just isn't going, and I don't think as the Leaf fans shouldn't be really expecting much for this season. It's sad, but I don't know, and I don't have an answer.
Neither do we. And George, the only thing I do have for you, however, is a dial tone. Leaf Talk, Alex, longtime caller of the show. How you doing, Alex? Welcome to the show. You're on the air.
Not bad, Andy. I just want to pay you a quick compliment before I say what I want to say. Just listening to the Caps PA address announcer during the game the other night, you do such a good job with the intensity in your voice. This guy sounded like a carny calling out the freak show at a carnival with the jangly organ. It was almost laughable. So, you bring the intensity in the game. It always sounds great.
It's nice of you to say so. Thanks so much.
The other thing, too, I just wanted to end up with this, Andy. I think the public address announcer for Buffalo tonight needs to attend the Andy Frost School for Announcing.
The Andy Frost School for Public Address Announcing is not open. It's permanently closed, Mel.
Okay, well,
nice of you to say, though.
A little bit of reinforcement and a little bit of literacy skills because he called Joey Crab Joey Cobb.
Really?
I don't know if you
I did not catch that. Mel, sorry to cut our conversation short. You're a gentleman. Thanks very much for the kind words and the kind comments. Leo, Waterloo. Go ahead, Leo.
Andy, thanks for the time. A few things. First of all, I just want to say, with respect to Mark Daly as being the voice of City TV, you're the voice of Leaf Talk, and your announcing at the games is great. And on cue, I guess, too. You're okay there. But you got to give yourself a little bit of time off here and there because you're working way too much. And I'd like to say also...
Are you my new boss, Leo, or...?
No, not yet. I'm looking.
I don't need some time off quite yet. I get some time off when the hockey season ends.
You know, when we were trying to make the playoffs, Ron Wilson ended up playing Jaguar there a couple of weeks ago, and it's like, give me a break. I mean, in the old days, in the 70s and 80s, they'd play Reimer till he fell over, until he was exhausted. And I mean, when we had a real chance, then he puts in Jaguar for a game, and it's like, oh, for crying out loud.
I mentioned this the other night, Lionel, honestly, that one game, people saying that, the whole season fell apart because of Jaguar starting in Florida. The whole season fell apart back in November and in October. That one game, Reimer needed a bit of a rest. He came back, if you remember, on the Saturday that followed with a victory.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean,
and played great.
I mean,
that Florida game on St. Patrick's Day, honestly, I wish people, including yourself, would just get over it. The season did not go down the drain that night. Vic, sorry to interrupt, but I know what you're saying. I think you're right that all people ask for is effort. All people want them to do is try. But trust me, I've been doing this show for 15 years, man. People will complain about this Leaf team even if they won the Stanley Cup. People would complain about how they held the cup in the back of the convertible.
I think I want to say I'm going to start it. It's a little bit ridiculous, but it's a joke to end it off with. $1 million for Curtis Joseph to come back and back up Reimer.
Steve, it's not April Fool's Day. That was a few days ago. Steve, thanks for the phone call, but interesting. Not going to happen. Lots of calls. Always happens when the Leafs lose. Tons of calls. Got to turn some people away. You know what it's like when the Leafs win. We usually have a couple of open phone lines. Figure that one out. People love to criticize and they love to complain.
So is the team, in front of Reimer playing a lot better.
Reimer should have had the start.
Yeah, and I'm sick and tired of Wilson's games that he plays with not only the media, with the fans, getting off topic, like talking about, Jaguar might get the start, he might get the start, blah, 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 blah. And I just got pulled over by the cops, Andy.
Dutch will let you go. And, wonder if they'll arrest you. That might be a first in the 15 years I think we've been doing this show. A caller live on air getting pulled over by the cops. Hate to laugh, Dutch, but there's something sickly humorous about it. Let's hope you haven't been drinking when you're ready for us. No problem. Duff in Whitby. How you doing, Duff? Duff, what's happening out in Whitby, Duff? What's that? Is that the opening of a beer? Duff, sound effects?
Are you talking to me?
I'm talking. Duff, you're there.
It's just a long, frustrating another year of the Leafs. I went into my favorite bar tonight, and I said, where is the Masochist Society meeting? They pointed to the bar right away where the stools were. The Leaf game was on. The guy says, do you need a drink? And I said, I'm a Leaf fan. He says, of course I need a drink.
Dave, we're short on time. We thank you for contributing again. As I said to Dave in Vancouver when he called Saturday night after the loss to Ottawa, Steve, get some of that BC bud into you. Just have a little bit of a relaxing evening. Dave, I reiterate that. Stay away from the bar. What you do not need is more alcohol.
Andy, always a pleasure to be on the show. You know, out here in subtropical Vancouver, the daffodils blooming. I'm working hard doing missionary work for the Leafs. You know, I'm at the #1 sports bar, the Sharks Club, converting Canuck fans into Leaf fans. It's a tough job, but the Pinot are fine, and the waitresses, they're fine too. And the Leafs are winning on TV, so it's all good, right?
Are you smoking some of those daffodils?
No, matter of fact. No, not at all.
They probably don't burn that well.
No, I just enjoy, like occasional glass of fine Pinot Noir.
Yeah, they don't have a Jeff Skinner either.
Well, yeah, but Jeff Skinner, I mean, he's still a young punk. He hasn't proven anything yet.
Young punk? Why is Jeff Skinner a punk?
He annoys me because with his Bieber kid and Jeff Skinner, he's just annoying. All the little girls like.
Now you're comparing Jeff Skinner to Justin Bieber.
Well, that's all they're talking about.
Oh my goodness.
He's a little punk. Anyway, my MVP for the Leafs.
Okay, let's hear it.
I'm gonna have to say Caberlet.
Really, I think we should bring back a key contributor from the early 2000s.
Yeah, and I can just imagine who that's going to be. Let's hear it, Rob.
Take a guess.
A key contributor from the early 2000s?
That's right.
A forwarder or defenseman?
Defense. But, you know, he played offense also really well.
Brian McCabe?
Aki Berg.
Rob,
that's it.
Yeah, you let us know when your next appointment is with the shrink, and we'll be there to help you out of the office.
Great defensive core and a great goaltender that can preserve a lead, which did not happen last year and in years before that. And if they can continue to give them some support and give Jaguar and the defensive core a lead, they can hold it this year. And I don't think they were able to do that in the past. If they continue to do that this year, they will be successful and will be considered as a top 8 contender for the playoffs.
Stefan, thank you. Stay away from the pills. We got to cut you short and get to the out-of-town scoreboard. It's exhausting. Nice job, Stefan. Very excited. It sounds like, anyway, that his Maple Leaf hockey team put 3 pills in the net. Leafs win it 3-2 over Montreal. Thanks very much. Let's go to John. You were at this game tonight. The Leafs win it 4-3. Have your radio down, please, John. John. John.
Hey, how's it going?
Turn your radio off, all right, please? One of the production staff should have told you that already. Go ahead. The Leafs win it 4-3. John, it doesn't work. You probably were told to have your radio off. And it's blasting in the background. Sorry, John. Give us a call back with your radio off. Who would you like to see behind the bench, Andrew, of this team?
Carlton the Bear, for all I care. Anyone's better than Ron Wilson at this point.
Okay, Andrew. Thank you very much, Carlton the Bear. Well, we had a Ted Nolan call the other night. We've had a few Ken Hitchcock calls. We have yet to hear from anybody saying bring back Pat Quinn. Going to be interesting. I don't think they're going to fire the coach. At least not yet. Ottawa wins it by a 3-0 score. As far as offense, here's the Leafs highlights. You got it. Crickets. Leafs shutout for the 5th time in 22 games this year. 3-0. Leafs have lost 8 in a row on the road. They've been shut out 5 times in 22 games this year. Let's go to a caller in New Jersey. Russ. How are you doing tonight, Russ? Welcome to Leaf Talk.
Thank you for taking my call. First of all, I don't understand. I had a highlight. Why didn't you play the highlight of the game when the horn sounded after the third period? That was just, it's just ended up point to being awful. But
the what? Sorry, repeat that for me.
When the horn sounded at the end of the third period.
Oh, you wanted that as the highlight, I see.
Yeah, that was the highlight.
Final caller, Sonu Vaughn. Quickly, please, Sonu, quickly. Hi.
Hey, welcome to Leaf Talk. I just like to talk about Jaguar. I think he has very big pad, yet he struggles with our puck. I mean, his pads are bigger than Pamela Anderson's double Bs. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you very much, Sonu Vaughn. Nice one. Impressive. out-of-town scoreboard next. Alexei Kovalev makes $5 million a year. That is absolute robbery. For what Kovalev delivered in this game tonight, oh, what a joke. A guy with that much skill, well, allegedly, previously, just not happening. Kevin and Aurora, you're our final caller. Go ahead, Kevin.
Andy, I think the
Hello? Kevin? What is going on with Kevin's phone? Guess he had another call coming in. All right. Kevin and Aurora, sorry we didn't be able to connect with you. Something tells me that Kevin was going to maybe talk about the lack of scoring on this Leaf team. Just a hunch. Caller and final caller in New Jersey. Rob, it's Leaf Talk. Hi, quickly.
Good to talk to you, Andy. The last time I called you, I was in New Mexico at a trailer park, so I'm calling you while I'm stateside at another beautiful state, loves hockey. But,
are you still in a trailer park?
Yeah, not a trailer park. I'm in a hotel. But listen, I really enjoyed listening to the game on 640 on the internet. It was awesome.
Go ahead. Rob, 1, 2, 3. I don't know, maybe you didn't pay the bill in that hotel room that he's at. Final score. Russell, you're up next. Go ahead, Russell.
Hey, how are you doing, Andy?
Pretty good, man. Where are you?
I'm in Hamilton.
Okay, Russell, go ahead.
I just want to talk about Phil Kessel. He had so many chances tonight, and he just didn't score or get an assist.
Yeah, he had quite a few opportunities. Well, nobody scored. I really think, Russell, tell me whether you agree. One of these games, Kessel is going to explode in Boston and get 2 or 3.
That's what I'm thinking, too. But
Russell, pay your phone bill. We lost you. Nice effort.
And Colby Armstrong and Tim Brent. Forget about the Waffles. They should be throwing some jars of Smuckers out there because these guys had some jam tonight. So it was impressive.
Yeah, the jars of jam. Yeah, agreed. And I'm not sure if security is checking for people bringing in waffles. And I couldn't really figure out the waffles. Was it because waffle rhymed with awful? Was it because waffles were Frisbee-like in its trajectory? I don't know, but we didn't see any waffles tonight, and I really hope that stops in a hurry. Sure looked to me like the producers were almost anti-Toronto tonight. Some of the stuff that they showed of the signs in the crowd and those guys dressed up next to the penalty box every time a Maple Leaf player went into the box. Those guys dressed up in the green holding up the signs. And I think the first time we saw them in the first period, they had a box of Eggo waffles. Like, how do you get into the rink in Vancouver with a box of Eggo waffles? Does security just say, oh, yeah, sure, it's the Leafs, go on in here? Let's see you make as much fun as the Maple Leafs as possible. I just don't think that the CBC or Hockey Night in Canada producers really had to show some of that stuff. You know, we know people out in Vancouver have very little use for a lot of us back east. Here in Toronto, I don't know if you've ever been to Vancouver, but it's very evident.
I do. But I'm more of a musician than a hockey guy, and I liken Tim Thomas to Keith Moon. He's just from another planet. He's not a real human being. I've never seen stuff like that in my life. Like, where do they find this guy? And I definitely think the Maple Leafs, they need to look at Boston as a model. When you look at Boston and how they're basically a very functional all-over team, they do everything very well. And I definitely think Toronto could learn from that. And I think they learned a good lesson tonight by playing up to their level. I was very impressed with how well they played.
You know, Dave, the Bruins have some first-round picks. They've built through, large part, the drafts and younger players. They've got an absolute freak of nature and a monster on the blue line, Zdeno Chara.
Oh, he's not even real.
No, he's not. You know, it's tough to compare the two teams, but I know what you're saying, and you're making a good point. The Leafs could use the Bruins as a role model, but it just might be like Keith Moon, a little bit out of this world and a little bit odd. 5-1, the final score. Phoenix wins it in front of only 11,205 people. Like, honestly, move this team back to Winnipeg already, where they'll sell it out every time they play. This is Andy Frost. Good night, everybody.